What single player RPG do you have the most amount of hours in for one single playthrough? Just one playthrough of the game. What game took you the longest that you were actually having fun? For me, that answer is The Witcher 3. I have almost 500 hours in one single playthrough of The Witcher 3 when you include the 2 large expansions. I touched every single piece of grass you could touch in that entire game. Never in my life has the meaning of RPG come to fruition more than when I first sat down and played The Witcher 3 for the very first time. I literally felt like I was Geralt every time I booted up my PC and I clicked on that Witcher 3 icon. I was literally transported, sounds corny enough, but into a whole world of monsters and drama and mayhem in a way that was so immersive and so addictive. When I was playing through The Witcher 3, I used to wake up thinking about what I was going to do next in The Witcher 3. And I don't think I've ever felt like that before in a game, at least not that I can remember. I've been playing video games my whole entire life, 30 plus years, and many games captured and immersed me and made me feel like I was living in that world, but nothing did it like The Witcher 3. That did it on a whole nother level. So when I heard the most important people who worked on The Witcher 3, amongst a few of their colleagues from the old CD Projekt Red studio before things got weird there, were making a brand new AAA game of their own, and then they're throwing in my favorite thing of ever, vampires, now you've got my damn attention. Before we even talk about the gameplay or what this game is, we have to talk about these people and who's making this game, because that's the part that matters a lot. Earlier I mentioned there was a few key people who had gotten me excited about the team working on this project. These people are very important, and their roles at CDPR and what they did even previously is even more important. I'm going to go through this fast so it doesn't get boring, but we have to mention them. Some of the previous roles are Conrad. He's now the game director. He was the game director for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and its major expansions, Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, as well as head of production and secondary game director for Cyberpunk 2077. He's the founder and head of the new studio. We have Mateusz, creative director. His previous CDPR role was lead quest designer for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and quest director for Cyberpunk 2077. Jakub, narrative director. His previous CDPR role was senior writer for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Cyberpunk 2077. Bart, art director. His previous CDPR role was the principal art director for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and a few others who had equally important roles. This tells me one huge thing and leaves also one huge question. First off, this is amazing because most of the important and best parts of The Witcher 3 are here working on this game, not over working at Witcher 4. But it leaves a giant question also, who the hell is still working on Witcher 4 that was important? I'm sure that team was comprised of hundreds of people, but I'm just saying, you take the most key roles and you bring them over into one team. I don't know what that leaves left there, and I'm still excited for that, but I'm just saying we have the most important core foundation of all the best parts that made Witcher 3 good here working on one game. So I don't know if the studio really shifted and changed around that much after that Cyberpunk debacle in the beginning. We'll have to explore that another time and see who's actually left there and go into that in another video, but this game has some seriously talented people behind it that are working on something they actually want to work on, not something they're being told to work on. Everybody that's working on this project here is almost like a passion project, and when you have a small team of super talented AAA developers making their own project, I don't have to tell you how amazing and excellent that has often turned out in the past. So that lays the groundwork for who's making things. Now let's take a look at what we know about the game, and then we'll move on to some even more important things that I want to talk about once we're done discussing the game itself. Just quickly, I'm here every week talking about all the things in this hobby that get me excited. If you like vampires, if you like dark fantasy, if you like classic franchises, if you like talking about the video game industry, I'm here every week talking about all my favorite stuff. It would mean a lot to me and to the small community we're building here if you hit all the buttons and sub if you end up enjoying the video. Anyways, let's move on. Blood of the Dawnwalker is a single-player, open-world, dark fantasy action RPG where you play as Cohen, a man caught between being human and being a vampire. During the day, Cohen is human. At night, the vampire side comes out. The day and night cycle is one of the main systems the game is built around because Cohen has different options depending on what time it is. During the day, Cohen uses sword fighting and witchcraft. The daytime side is more tied to talking to people, exploring settlements, handling quests, and using dark magic through runes carved in his body. Daytime spell examples include Burning Blood, which deals damage over time, and Feral Mind, which can make an enemy attack random targets. Typical vampire stuff. At night, Cohen has access to vampire abilities. He can use claws, fangs, supernatural movement, and powers like Shadow Step. Shadow Step is a short-range teleport that can be used in combat, stealth, and exploration. It can help Cohen move through fights, reach rooftops, get to ledges, and approach areas differently than he can during the day. The vampire side also comes out with blood hunger. At night, Cohen needs blood. If he doesn't feed, he can lose control. If his hunger gets bad enough, the game can force a give in to hunger option, which can lead to Cohen attacking someone. Feeding does not have to mean feeding on people every time, because animals can also be used as a source of blood, but the system still makes the vampire side something that the player has to manage. The main time system is built around 30 days and 30 nights. Cohen has 30 days and 30 nights to save his family. This is not a normal real timer running every second, obviously. Exploring doesn't move time forward. Combat doesn't move time forward. Think about something like Persona if you've played that. Walking around the world doesn't move time forward. Time moves forward when the player does very important actions like finishing certain quests, making certain choices, choosing certain dialogue options, or learning some abilities. The game uses an hourglass icon to show when the action will cost time. The timer also means the player cannot do everything in one playthrough. The developers have said that the quests can be missed, some can be skipped, and some may never be found, and it's impossible to complete every story arc before the deadline. The game also does not instantly end when the 30 days and 30 nights are over. The deadline is tied to consequences, especially around Cohen's family and the state of the world. The quest structure is being described as a narrative sandbox. The main goal is saving Cohen's family and dealing with Brensis, the main villain, the vampire lord who's controlling everything. But other quests are not separate checklist content. They can connect to the main goal, affect it, complicate it, or pull the player in another direction. We also have an infamy system. Infamy tracks how we are feared or if we're dangerous. Cohen basically becomes a threat to the world. And depending on how much of a threat you become, that infamy system is where that comes into play. Killing, stealing, rampaging, going against the vampire lord, and certain quest choices can raise infamy. Higher infamy can lead to more danger in the world, including bounty hunters, more patrols, city lockdowns, and harsher reactions from the vampire lord himself and his forces. Combat uses sword fighting, magic, vampire powers, dodging, blocking, and parrying. Blocking and parrying have a directional layer. Think of something like, what was that game that everybody played? The medieval one. I'm going to insert the name of that game here. Blocking in the correct direction uses less stamina. Blocking without reading the direction costs more stamina. Some attacks are even unblockable and they have to be dodged. The game also has difficulty options, and on higher difficulties, some of the combat help from the UI can be reduced or even removed. Exploration takes place in a fictional valley in the Carpathian Mountains. The world is handcrafted and includes settlements, forests, plains, swamps, mountains, caves, mines, ruins, and other older buried places deep in the valley. Day and night can change depending on how it's approached and what options are available and how Cohen moves throughout the world. The basic gameplay loop is choosing how to spend your limited time, deciding when to act during the day or at night, and managing Cohen's blood hunger, building his sword, magic, vampire abilities, exploring, and dealing with the consequences of the choices of the actions you've made along the way. Now we're going to talk about Blood Omen 2 and Vampire. Have you played either of these games, or have you heard of them? If you've seen the cover of either of them, you'd probably at least recognize them. They're fantastic and they're flawed, but they're very good vampire games, which I bring up because I see some serious DNA from both of those games in this game. Shadow Step is literally taken from Blood Omen 2, and many of the narrative things I'm seeing in this game resemble much of the story and mechanics of the Vampire game. These are two of my favorite games ever, and yes, because vampires, but also because they're just fantastic games. Then we have the most obvious influence, The Witcher 3. This game, everything from its menus to its art style to largely its actual characters, resemble The Witcher 3. And I have zero problem with that. In fact, it makes me happy because The Witcher 3 often shines brightest when the story was at its darkest. When the mood and atmosphere and tone would take a turn, that is when The Witcher 3 often felt the best. When it was dark and it was moody, that is when it was good. So if Blood of the Dawnwalker looks like Witcher 3's depressed, moody cousin, I'm pretty down for that. Earlier in the video, I talked about there was a big factor I wanted to talk about later on in the video, and that was the chapter 1 of all of this. If you listen to any of the language used for the game by the devs when they're describing it, they often talk about how this is kind of like a part 1, which means not only are they confident in their game, but they already know what they want to do next. That's a really good thing because it means that they're focused and they're confident and they know that they have a good product on their hands. And that excites me because the people that are working on this story for this game really know dark fantasy. Like, they really know ball when it comes to dark fantasy. So this is a really good sign of things to come, assuming the game is received well, which I'm almost sure it will be. Now, I'm not going to just sit and glaze the game, obviously, also because the team working on it has some big shoes to fill. The game gets me excited, but the same reasons the game gets me excited is kind of the same reasons it gets me a little bit nervous. People know that this team worked on The Witcher 3. I just went on selling the game as, yo, this game is from the people who worked on Witcher 3. That's why it gets people excited. But that means people are going to expect Witcher 3 levels of quality, to be honest. And even I'm kind of expecting that. And I'm expecting a fantastic story, excellent gameplay, fantastic combat, and mechanics that all tie those things together. If the game seriously faults at any one of those things, it's going to be judged, I think, a lot harder than most games would be that are a brand new IP from a brand new studio. But I think this is exactly what the AAA industry as a whole needs right now. Well, Jesus, we need a lot of things. Ownership, games, discs. Smaller, talented teams that have a passion for what they're working on is very important right now. With a comfortable amount of overhead to actually work on it and produce something that they want without being rushed, that's what we need. And that's largely what this game represents. And I honestly think they're going to pull this off. I think that's all I have to say, honestly, on this project for now, until we either get some big update or the final release in September. I'll be honest about something. I wish they would just delay this game though, at least until Christmas or even until next year early. As much as I want to play it, September is so jam-packed with other big AAA releases already that I don't want this game having to fight for attention. Let September happen, then let GTA 6 drop, let it release, and then once things simmer down, that's when I would drop this. But I don't know, what do I know, right? Whatever. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave things here, I think. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you who chose to come and spend your time with me and watch this video to the end. I'm a big Dark Fantasy fan and even bigger Vampire fan, so I'll be monitoring this game closely and we'll talk about it more again in the future, especially when it releases. And let me know, are you excited for this game? Are you excited about the team behind this game? Tell me your favorite vampire character from a video game of all time. Leave me a comment, please. Hit all the buttons down below. Subscribe to the video if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.